covering the stories that impact your life, your town, your state, and your future. This is the Means Report with your host, Brad Means.
Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to the Means Report. We certainly appreciate you spending part of your day with us, where you might have deduced from the stars and the blue background behind me that today's focus is on something political, and how appropriate, because we have a big election day coming up Tuesday, the day after this program airs. Typically, sometimes they give us a Sunday airing, but let's go with a typical Monday Means Report airing. That means Tuesday is election day. Hard to believe the 21st of May is already upon us. And how about that question that's going to be on the ballot for you to decide? Should the mayor of Augusta get a vote? That is our top focus today on the Means Report. We're going to have two important guests on here to talk about it. Also, the top issues in Augusta in general. The gentlemen joining me are more than capable of discussing those as well. And of course, we'll wrap up the Means Report with ways that you can stay in touch with us. It is easy for you to help us book more great guests like today's two. Mayor Garnett Johnson, currently well into his second year in office. He is one of our guests. Mayor Johnson, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And former Augusta mayor from, about 2005 to 2014, the better part of a decade, Deke Copenhaver, back on the set of the Means Report. Mayor Copenhaver, thank you for being here.
I always enjoy being here.
Well, we appreciate both of y'all, and we do want to talk about this issue that's going to go before voters. Should the mayor of Augusta, not Garnett Johnson or Deke Copenhaver, but just should the mayor of Augusta, period, have a vote on all commission matters? Right now, it's just to break ties. Take a look, before we get to our questions for these gentlemen, at how the question's going to look when you go to the polls on Tuesday or when you cast your ballot early. Shall the act be approved that provides that the mayor of Augusta-Richmond County shall have the right to vote on all matters before the Augusta-Richmond County Commission? That's what it's going to look like. And then you will have to select yes, the mayor of Augusta should have that right, or no, he or she should not. And so, Mayor Johnson, how did we get to this point? I know that when we were talking before you even were sworn in, that you mentioned the mayor having a vote.
Certainly.
As one of the things that you would like to see happen. So did you have to reach out to the General Assembly? How did they get involved? Walk us through those steps.
Yeah, so I was approached by some concerned citizens from Augusta-Richmond County, as well as members of the legislative delegation surrounding the governance of Augusta-Richmond County. In that, Augusta is the lead of this region. It includes both Burke, Columbia, Richmond County, as well as Aiken and North Augusta. It's an entire region of citizens. I felt strongly that the mayor should have more involvement in its governance, and that when I was elected on June 21st, I received a call on June 22nd stating that I would never be given an opportunity to vote, even in the event of a tie.
That phone call came from a commissioner?
Came from a sitting commissioner.
Now, that was like my 9th question on here, but I'll jump ahead to it right now. Is that commissioner still on the commission?
That commissioner still serves on the Augusta-Richmond County Commission, and he has held true to his word that he has not allowed me the opportunity to break a tie. He has told me that when he trains me how to vote and I vote with them, I will be given the opportunity to vote.
Look, the audience is screaming in my ear, even though I can't hear them, but I know they're screaming for me to ask you who this is. Do you want to name the commissioner?
Don't want to name him.
No?
I think everyone knows in the community who it is.
All right.
However, I believe our democracy is much stronger than that, in that I am the only at-large elected member of our commission, and I feel strongly that the mayor should have some voice in the direction of our city, and that's what I'm asking for. This is not an advocacy for a strong mayor form of government. This is not an advocacy for more powers or duties authorized through the mayor's office. However, our charter with this original intent was to give the mayor a vote in the event of a tie, and that's what I'm asking for.
Deke Copenhaver, go back to that 05 to 14 time frame. Was there a moment that you remember when you realized, hey, this would be a lot easier if I had a vote on everything?
Yes, I do. I mean, my first year in office, I believe Marion Williams was the mayor pro tem at that time. And so there were people that wanted to put somebody else in. Well, he didn't. He said, well, it's a 2-year term, if I'm remembering correctly. So he would abstain to keep the vote on the mayor pro tem, that's how we start our government every year. But I think it went several months, and it created a tremendous amount of controversy. People were saying he needs to leave. I mean, it just really created some divisions in the city. But Two, with SPLOST projects, we were able to build the convention center, the judicial center, all of that, but that took years and years and years to get to a point of final approval because of the abstention issue. And how many millions of dollars did that cost the taxpayers? I mean, building costs went up, so it slows, if not stops, the government. But I will say, the gentleman that the mayor just mentioned, this is how, so I never had anybody like that for me.
Right.
But the gentleman was elected in 2019 in a special election with 496 votes, ran the next year unopposed. So in a city of 201,000 people, somebody with that minuscule support can basically hold the government hostage. And that denies the representation of the city as a whole that elect him at large, or any mayor.
Let me ask you both this, and I'll stick with you first since you have 9.5 years in the mayor's office under your belt. When you realized that there were going to be these abstentions, and I do want to get y'all to explain how abstentions work a little bit later.
Yeah.
But let's just stick with this question right now, and that is, did you get to a point pretty quickly when you realized, man, my agenda, all of my hopes and dreams for this city are dashed because nobody's working with me, or they're using all these tricks to make sure that nothing I want passes?
It was a very different situation. I had run the green space program for 4 years.
Yeah.
So I'd been able to build consensus within the commission around that one issue for 4 years. I knew all the players. I had worked with the administrator. I'd worked with the planning director. So there's literally, the stars had to align, and I don't think that's ever going to happen again. I mean, the fix is structural. And it's, to me, we don't fundamentally have a government that's a representative democracy when one individual, we have the tyranny of the minority.
Have you gotten frustrated yet, Mayor Johnson, where you've thought, this would be so easy to make our town better, but y'all won't work with me?
Not frustrated, but certainly dismayed in that, I believe strongly the mayor's role provides strategic direction for our city, and not having the ability to do that by being prevented the ability to vote, even in the event of a tie, I think it's disheartening. But we still stand strong in that we believe wholeheartedly that putting this decision before the voters of Augusta Richmond County is in the best interest of our democracy.
All right, let's just speak for the opposition for a moment. Let me speak for the opposition and say, why can't you, just as Mayor Copenhaver mentioned, build a consensus and get your agenda pushed through that way? Why can't you go make friends with 6 commissioners
Certainly.
And make sure that your desires pass?
Certainly, we've tried that. Since my election, we've tried that. We've met with the commissioners individually. However, there are some that has held firm to their promise in that we don't believe the mayor should vote. That's commission's business. What they fail to realize is that the mayor is a member of the Augusta Richmond County Commission. There's 11 of us.
Do you get the feeling that it's that they don't want Garnett Johnson to have a vote, or that they just generally don't want the mayor to have a vote?
Looking at it from a historical perspective, it has been the frustration of every single mayor since consolidation. I've talked to every single one of them. Going back to former Mayor Larry Scanias, I had lunch with him. The frustration has been in this role, and you don't understand it unless you sit in this role. At any given point, you're going to somehow find 6 commissioners that believes they can mute the voice of the mayor by getting 6 votes.
Y'all, I'm listening to you as closely as I can, I promise,
Yeah.
and I do not understand it because, Mayor Copenhaver, I've met every single commissioner. They seem as individuals like very nice people, and not just the current commission body, but previous ones. Why can't you take those 10 nice people and make at least 60, 70% of them work with you? It doesn't make sense. It just doesn't.
No, and that's what I love, though, is we're pulling the curtain back on the functioning of our local government. Garnett spoke to the, who was it, the colonial dames the other day.
Yes.
And, older ladies in general, although my sister and my wife are members, they said they were so upset because they said, we cannot believe this is the way our government has functioned. But so many people, have basically, in 28 years of a dysfunctional government, how many people have just tuned themselves out? But I'm like, this is how it works, and we've got to change this for future generations. Think about that. I mean, there are young people in Augusta who were born, when we consolidated, who are now 28 years old, who have never had any say-so in how their government works whatsoever. And that's unjust.
Let me ask you this before we go to break, Mayor Johnson.
Yes.
Walk me through how an abstention works. Can someone abstain or vote present, and that way they get out of having to cast a vote?
All those methods have been used. You can vote present, you can get up and walk out of a meeting, a commission meeting, or you can simply abstain. And without a qualified conflict of interest. Augusta Richmond County is the only government that I've found where someone can abstain that prevents a mayor from voting.
Do you usually know beforehand that it's going to happen? Might that person say, look, you can bring the issue up, I'm going to abstain or I'm going to walk out?
Certainly.
You know ahead of time.
You know ahead of time.
All right. Frustrating for sure. Interesting insight from both of you. We'll continue to ask you questions about the need, from y'all's perspective, certainly, for the mayor of Augusta to have a vote. We'll also talk about key issues going on in the Garden City. Mr. Copenhaver and Mayor Johnson certainly know about those all too well, and we'll get them to highlight some of the issues that might move our town forward on the Means Report. Welcome back to the Means Report. Everybody goes to the polls on Tuesday, May 21st, and early voting, of course, has been underway for some time. And one of the big questions on the ballot, the biggest, I would submit, is should the mayor of Augusta have a vote on all commission matters? We're talking about that with current Augusta Mayor Garnett Johnson, former Augusta Mayor Deke Copenhaver, and Mayor Johnson will resume with you. And that's just to say, what if we switched, and could we switch to an at-large form of government, which to my understanding is when the voters elect the mayor and all the council members or commissioners, and just operate like that? It seems to be working for North Augusta. They have that. And I asked them why they don't. I asked the mayor one time why they don't disagree as much as it appears that we do here in Augusta, and he said that form of government helps.
Sure. Well, I tell you, I think that's putting the cart before the horse. Getting the mayor an equal vote allows us to get to the creation of a charter review commission/committee. My very first action once we receive this yes vote is to put an agenda item on the Augusta Richmond County Commission that says, let's engage the Carl Vinson Institution of Government to lead us down a path to create that charter review commission/committee. That should be a broad cross-section of Augustans who then decide what best form of governance works best for everybody. I think it should be an open dialogue and an open discussion, but I'm not here today to decide should we have an at-large voting body. I think it's best that we let the voters and the citizens of Augusta and Richmond County decide that.
I asked you this, Mayor Copenhaver, a million times when you were in office, and it's just to say, I know we have many successes in Augusta, but let's focus on some of our shortcomings. Have you seen companies perhaps refuse to come here or decline to come here because they say, look, y'all fight too much?
No, I have not, but that's companies do their research. And so when they approach the Development Authority, you have non-disclosure agreements. So how many companies looking in on our government just crossed us off the list, and they don't send you a letter to say, we're not coming there because of your government.
Right.
But I'm sure it's happened. It's almost, we're succeeding in spite of ourselves. I believe it was 2 weeks ago, the mayor and the Development Authority and the governor, in 3 separate announcements, locally economic development announcements. I'm now on the board of the Augusta Economic Development Authority, but $1.7 billion worth of investment, creating 500 and something jobs. But I've always said, can you imagine if we had a well-functioning government, what we could be doing?
Yeah.
So I guarantee you, it is not giving our citizens all the jobs and economic opportunity that they could have if the government functioned more efficiently.
So what happens if the voters go to the polls on Tuesday and say, yes, our mayor does deserve a vote on all commission matters? Mayor Johnson, 2 questions. Number 1, when would your new voting rights start? And would we then see like this huge Garnett Johnson agenda be pushed through item by item, and our town would just explode with great things?
Yeah, so if the voters decide that yes is the best option to move Augusta forward, that vote takes effect on July 1st.
Okay.
So after July 1st, I see this as an effort to create the Charter Review Commission that I discussed. It's so important that the voters engage in this process on how we create a better governance, a more efficient and accountable government for Augusta. And I would beg to ask, if you have liked Augusta, in which the government has performed in the past 28 years as a result of consolidation, where we can't cut the grass, there's no accountability, your vote is probably no. I can assure you with a yes vote, we're going to move forward with more accountability. We're going to move forward with cleaning this city up. We're going to move forward with creating a bright new destination for what we can become. So that's what I'm really excited about.
What would you say to someone who says, oh no, if this happens, Mayor Johnson will never visit or pay attention to my part of town again. My district will be ignored and only the districts he likes will get all the benefits?
I think that is totally false, in that from the beginning, I established a campaign headquarters out in South Richmond County, where I feel strongly needs to continue to get some love. We need to create more lifestyle opportunities, more restaurants, more destinations for those who live out in South Richmond. I am accessible and available to all the citizens of Augusta, Richmond County, whether it be Blythe, Hudson, West Augusta, South Augusta, near the river, downtown where I was born and raised, and that's who I'll remain committed to, the entire city.
Mayor Copenhaver, in your consulting business, you've had a chance to work with other municipalities and help them navigate their differences and see progress. What are a couple of key points that you say to them to keep things positive?
Yeah, well, I will tell you, first off, there are organizations and individuals all over America looking in on this election.
Yeah.
Because it's positive, it's inclusive, it's uplifting, and it's like, oh my gosh, a political campaign can be that, bringing people together on common ground from all walks of life. And we're like, this is democracy in action. But I'll give you an example. Florence, South Carolina, I did some consulting with them a number of years ago. They were the other finalists for Starbucks. The Starbucks facility, initial investment, $170 million, and they've since doubled that investment, doubled the employment. But their package, their economic development package was better than ours, but Starbucks, what helped tip the balance in our favor, they liked our downtown better and they thought we had a stronger arts and culture community. So now Tiny Florence partnered with Francis Marion University to do a downtown performing arts center. They've got boutique hotels, they've got wonderful restaurants. The planning director said, we tell everybody that we hire that story about why you got Starbucks. That's why we focus on our downtown. So think about that. To have a consensus of a government to say, because every city is trying to have the best downtown.
It is.
But to have a consensus around, well, let's look at doing these things downtown. But I want to use it to really help other cities and say, this is the template for what true grassroots engagement looks like. It doesn't have to be ugly, nasty politics as usual.
Mayor Johnson, why isn't our downtown thriving as it should be? Because we all visit the other towns, as Mayor Copenhaver indicated, and say, man, I wish Augusta was like that. That seems like something that could be a consensus item. Who doesn't want downtown to be great?
Well, I think it's partly contributed to our governance, having at least 8 districts involved in our commission, along with the 2 at-large commission districts.
So
not at-large, but our 2 super district.
Are they saying? Are those people saying? Excuse me for interrupting. Are they saying, "Look, I would like X to happen downtown, but not until you do Y for my district"? Is it that?
Yeah.
Certainly, and you know, unfortunately, some areas have suffered as a result of that. If you look at the folks who live out in South Richmond County, they believe strongly they too deserve, infrastructure improvements, better roads, more sewer, and all of the investments that are made in downtown. And I agree with them. I mean, I think that you have to look at Augusta from an entirety and an inclusive community, and they do deserve, as taxpaying citizens, for improvements to be made in their area.
Let me go back to this real quick, and then we'll try to hit some big issues in Augusta. You mentioned that there will be this charter review effort potentially if the voters decide to give the mayor a vote. Does that mean upending Augusta government as we've known it for all these decades, changing the way things work beyond just giving the mayor a vote?
Not at all. Every consolidated government in the state of Georgia has a charter review committee that, with most, coincides with the census. They take a look at their governance as it applies to efficiency and effectiveness, and it's a broad cross-section of their community. Augusta has never done one since our charter it was put together in 1996. So it's way beyond time that we do it. I'm excited about getting the process started. I'm excited about getting the Carl Vinson Institution of Government to have a roadmap to lead us to Charter Review Commission.
Hey, Mayor Copenhaver, if the mayor gets a right to vote, would there still be loopholes and abstentions and absences and walkouts where they could block you?
There's the possibility. I don't think so.
Yeah.
But let me just say, so when I was in office, I did some research. 97% of municipal governments in the United States were either strong mayor or strong manager. We were in the 3% of other, which tells me that there are other forms of government that are much more efficient and effective and transparent than ours. And it's like, why would we not want to? The charter is our business plan. If you don't update your business plan in 28 years, you have no business to update your plan for.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you for that insight. I appreciate it. Yes, sir.
But there's one thing that both sides agree on. It's time for charter review.
Right.
We both agree on that.
Just to take a look at it.
Just to take a look at it. This path gives us an opportunity to address it immediately. So that's what I'm excited about.
Probably have time for a couple more quick questions. One is to you, Mayor Johnson. You went to Washington, D.C. since I last talked to you, and you attended the State of the Union.
I did.
How was it?
That was unbelievable.
Yeah.
You know, it's an event I've watched on TV since my childhood. To actually be in the building as an invited guest of the President and the First Lady was extraordinary. It was a long day. We had started with dinner at the White House and had the opportunity to ride over in the presidential motorcade.
Wow.
But to be in the Capitol on that evening was magical for myself, and I'll treasure it the rest of my life.
Yeah, it really is a once-in-a-lifetime, potentially, experience. Mayor Copenhaver, since we last talked, you rang the bell for your last cancer treatment. How are you doing? How are you feeling?
So I've got my voice pretty much back.
Yeah, it sounds great.
I'm 11 months cancer-free.
Thank God.
So I never had any side effects from the treatments. I'm a testimony to God's grace and the power of prayer. And I know He kept me around for a reason, and I think part of that reason is this campaign.
Yeah, it's a big one. And Tuesday is the day. Does the mayor of Augusta deserve a vote on all commission matters? I can't thank y'all enough for sharing your insight and information with me today, and for all you do for our city, in office and out of office. You continue to try to make Augusta great. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you for
Brad.
the opportunity.
Absolutely. Mayor Garnett Johnson, former Mayor Deke Copenhaver, my special guests on the Means Report. When we come back, how you can shape future editions of this broadcast. It is easy. We value your input, and we'll show you how to submit it in a moment.